Hello student, I am Dr. Sudha Bharti. Today my topic is polyhydramnios. Objective of topics are definition, physiology of amniotic fluid, etiology of hydramnios, clinical type, differential diagnosis, complication and management. Definition: there is excess accumulation of amniotic fluid exceeding 2000 ml, causing discomfort to the patient, and amniotic fluid index is more than 25 centimeter and largest vertical pocket is more than 8 centimeter on ultrasonography. Incidence is 1 to 2% and more common in multigravida than the primigravida. Physiology of amniotic fluid. So now we will discuss about its production and clearance. What happened in first half of pregnancy? The fetal skin allows diffusion and amniotic fluid is almost fetal extracellular fluid. After 20 weeks, as the fetal skin becomes keratinized, this diffusion is impaired. In second half of pregnancy, fetal kidney becomes active and fetal urine becomes the main source. The fetal urine production rate is about 1000 to 1200 ml per day at term. The other source of secretion from lungs and tracheobronchial tree. The fetal swallow about 500 ml of fluid per day. The other mechanism of removal of amniotic fluid is by intramembranous absorption. And this is how recycling occurs. Now we will assess the amniotic fluid volume by the ultrasound. USG, the best method to assess the amount of fluid. There are two methods used to assess the amniotic fluid volume. They are amniotic fluid index and single deepest pocket. Amniotic fluid is calculated by dividing the uterus into 4 quadrants and measuring the largest vertical pocket of liquor in each of the 4 quadrants. The sum of the 4 measurement is amniotic fluid index in centimeter. Normal range is 5 to 25 centimeter. If it is less than 5 centimeter, it is called oligohydramnios. If it is more than 25 centimeter, it is called polyhydramnios. Amniotic fluid at different gestation period. The volume varies with gestational age. It increases from 8 weeks until 34 weeks and reaches a peak at 34 to 36 weeks. Thereafter, it reduces slowly. At 10 weeks, it becomes 30 ml. At 20 weeks, 450 ml, and 30 to 40 weeks, 900 to 1000 ml. Etiology of polyhydramnios. It could be maternal, it could be fetal and placental. Diabetes mellitus, they associated with polyhydramnios. What happened here? If mother is hyperglycemic, fetal will also be hyperglycemic, and so fetal urea, which produce polyhydramnios. Cardiac or renal disease also causes polyhydramnios. Anencephaly, open spina bifida, and meningomyelocele. These are the common fetal malformation and associated with hydramnios. Hydramnios is due to increased transudation of fluid from the exposed meninges, and due to impaired swallowing. In Hydrops fetalis, is seen with RH incompatibility, which is associated with polyhydramnios. In multiple pregnancy, it is more common in monozygotic twin. Second sex are mostly affected. What happened in esophageal or duodenal atresia? There is impaired swallowing. Chorioangioma of the placenta is also associated with polyhydramnios. There are two types of polyhydramnios, acute and chronic. Acute hydramnios is less common and usually occur earlier, even as early as 20 weeks. There is rapid accumulation of fluid and the patient is usually in distress. Chronic hydramnios is more common when there is a gradual increase in fluid. It usually occurs after 32 weeks. Symptoms are due to pressure effect by the over-distended uterus. Patient may be in distress because of over-distended uterus, and also patient complaining of abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting. There is a respiratory problem and palpitation because of pressure on the diaphragm and the lungs. Patient may also complain of lower extremity edema and varicosity because of pressure on the vein. There is absence of feature of shock and evidence of preeclampsia are seen on abdominal examination. On inspection, there is unduly enlargement of the abdomen. Skin is tensed, shiny and large stria. On palpation, height of the uterus is more than the period of amenorrhea. Girth of the abdomen is more than the normal around the umbilicus. Fetal part cannot be well defined because of the tensed abdominal wall. What happened on auscultation? Fetal heart sound is not heard distinctly because of the tense abdominal wall. In internal examination, cervix is effaced and dilated and admit tip of the finger. Investigation depends upon the etiology. If patient is RH incompatibility, so ABO and RH group is essential. In diabetes, postprandial sugar and glucose tolerance test is essential. Amniotic fluid is taken out by the amniocentesis for fetal karyotyping. Any chromosomal defect is seen so that termination of pregnancy can be planned. Alpha fetoprotein can be done to detect any chromosomal abnormality. Ultrasound is usually diagnostic of hydramnios. Hydramnios is seen as a large anechoic space between the fetus and the uterine wall or placenta. The amniotic fluid index and largest vertical pocket will be more than the normal. It also helps to exclude twin pregnancy or singleton pregnancy. It also helps about the lie and presentation of the fetus because of the tense abdominal wall. It is not diagnosed clearly. It also diagnosed the other fetal anomalies. Differential diagnosis. In case of during pregnancy, it is confused with hydramnios because of the tense abdominal wall. In twin pregnancy, there are more fetal parts seen, and ultrasound confirm the diagnosis. Pregnancy with huge ovarian cyst. A pregnant uterus can be separated from the ovarian cyst. Ultrasound confirm the diagnosis. Maternal ascites, there is fluid thrill and shifting dullness is present in ascites but not in hydramnios. Ultrasound confirm the diagnosis. Concealed abruption. Patient presented with feature of shock. So now we look for maternal complication. Maternal complication can occur during pregnancy, during labor, and puerperium. Preeclampsia is seen in 25% of patients. There is a malpresentation because of high floating head, premature rupture of membrane because of the tense abdominal wall, and as premature rupture of membrane occur, so it could lead to preterm labor, and antepartum hemorrhage because of sudden escape of liquor, so uterine surface reduces in adjacent to the placental surface, so there is hemorrhage occur from the placental surface. During labor, early rupture of the membrane occur, and if head is not engaged, there is a chance of cord prolapse, and there is uterine inertia because of distended uterus, and after delivery there is a chance of retained placenta because of atonic uterus, and because of uterine inertia and atonic uterus and retained placenta, postpartum hemorrhage is also possible after delivery. Also there is increased operative delivery. Puerperium subinvolution occur, increased morbidity due to infection, and secondary PPH occur because of the infection. Fetal complication. Fetal anomalies incompatible with life as anencephaly, preterm labor and risk of prematurity, cord prolapse if head is not engaged, and membrane rupture, malpresentation, face and probe presentation are more common, and abruption of the placenta. So it is a common complication of fetal complication. Principle of management. Principle is to relieve the symptom, explore the etiology, and to avoid and deal with complication if any. Supportive care and further management depends upon a response to treatment, period of gestation, and presence of fetal malformation and associated complicating factor. If mother is diabetic, early detection and control of diabetes is essential. In rhesus isoimmunization, now it is preventable. So During ANC period, uh, proper ANC should be done. Genetic counseling in early month and detection of fetal congenital abnormalities, uh, termination of pregnancy can be planned. Management is different of mild polyhydramnios and severe polyhydramnios. In mild polyhydramnios, it is very common and no need to give treatment, only bed rest is given to the patient. And severe polyhydramnios, patient is hospitalized and deal with as a high risk patient. In uncomplicated case, or if response to treatment is good, pregnancy is to be continued at term, awaiting a spontaneous delivery. In unresponsive case with maternal distress or pregnancy is if less than 37 weeks, an attempt is made to relieve the distress with a hope of continuation of pregnancy by aminoreduction. In aminoreduction, there is a slow decompression is done at the rate of about 500 ml per hour. An amount of amniotic fluid to be removed insufficient enough to relieve the mechanical distress. If pregnancy is more than 37 weeks, induction of labor is done. Amniocentesis given, it causes drainage of good amount of liquor. If there is favorable lie and presentation, oxytocin infusion is started and low rupture of membrane is done so that it will minimize sudden decompression with separation of placenta and normal delivery is possible. With congenital fetal abnormality, termination of pregnancy is to be done irrespective of the duration of pregnancy. Amniocentesis is done to drain the good amount of liquor. Treatment option to reduce the amniotic fluid volume. Treatment consists of reducing volume of the amniotic fluid to improve maternal well-being and prolong the pregnancy. The following methods are used to reduce amniotic fluid volume by the amnioreduction I have already told, and pharmacological treatment. Indomethacin is given to relieve the symptom. It crosses the placenta and reduces fetal renal blood flow and fetal urine output, and also stimulate fetal vasopressin secretion. And side effect is premature closure of patent ductus arteriosus, so it should not be given before 28 weeks of pregnancy. Thank you.